Hello and welcome to my cake kitchen. I'm Gladys and over here I make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate baking and decorating easily. We are back, and today, if you're wondering what we are doing, we are making some buttercream. We are onto our buttercream fact series where we attempt to discuss and answer various questions related to buttercream. And some of the common questions I get a lot regarding the subject of buttercream is surrounding the fat options that can be chosen as a base for your buttercream. And we're talking generally at this point in time American buttercream, simply for its beginner friendly nature and how easily adaptable American buttercream is. So we're using American buttercream as a sort of guide and using different forms of fat options outside of butter. I mean, the name butter tells you the base fat is the name is buttercream. It tells you the base fat is butter. But frosting as a subject or as something that is used in baking and as a decorative option for cakes has different fat options you can select, which is not limited to just butter. So we completed one of these tutorials where we tried using margarine. And if you don't know what that is, go check that video out. It's packed with a ton of information for you, right? And today we are attempting to use shortening as our base. Here are some of the markers for the tutorial generally. The ratio of sugar to fat is a 1:2 or 2:1, which is 2 parts of sugar to 1 part of the fat. So it doesn't matter what fat option is. At the core of it, for standard American buttercream, the general ratio is 2 parts of icing sugar to butter, which is 1 part, creamed together. And then sometimes optionally you can add a liquid of choice for adjustment of the consistency. This ranges between either water, milk, or cream. It depends on what your preference is and what you are trying to achieve. So coming down from that principle or that selection of butter to icing sugar, we are just attempting to replace the butter with something else. All the core ingredients remain the same. And when we tried it with the margarine, oh boy, I have seen the comments of different people say, bring me buttercream. I mean, we know the answer. If you've been a baker and you know the subjects of baking in and out, some things you just know for a fact, right? But it's always worth understanding how and why. So if you want to check how margarine works in making buttercream, go check it out. I'd like to actually add here that, like many of the subjects I've covered here, we know that anyone who tries to do something out of the norm or the general idea of what an ingredient selection should be has a specific need. And we're talking people who from no choice of their own have to opt for other ingredients that are dietary or health centered. So for instance, the decision to either choose margarine or shortening, as much as we deem it very low quality ingredient and which doesn't enhance taste and mouthfeel and all the disadvantages of this option, let's not forget that sometimes people don't have any other choice but to select those things as well. And I think that was a point I missed in my other tutorial, that why would anybody want to consider margarine? Well, it's cost effective, it's accessible, lack of understanding, all of that. Sometimes there's also a health reason, because if it's vegan and not an animal product, sometimes people with health reasons or dietary reasons and intolerances and allergies might just have to choose something else. And so that is something to think about. With all that said, today we are actually just trying to make buttercream using shortening. We completed the first part of this tutorial in the theory part where we discussed what shortening is, what it does, compared it against butter, and also discussed why anybody would consider shortening. I think I must add that at this point, the consensus we know is that shortening is actually a competitive product to have alongside butter for good or bad reason. And in most cases, sometimes for stability of your buttercream, a 50-50 ratio, which is half of shortening to half of butter to 2 parts of the sugar, will give you great results. We know that. And if you do know that, good for you. I know that. I'm only attempting to run this experiment just to answer it for any beginner who doesn't have the understanding or who would otherwise not know. Okay, so let's just pretend that we don't know, okay, which is why we're doing this. But for most part, I understand you people have an understanding of what we're doing here, so that is fine. I just want to make that clear because I know shortening is not as bad as we make out it should be, but it should also be pointed out the downside. And when we focus on the cons of using shortening, we focus on it just because we're drawing comparison to butter, which it has the competitive advantage of flavor and taste and mouthfeel. But when we compare it to shortening too, butter has some downside, which is that it is not very stable because it has a lower melting point. So that's enough about it. If you want to see the first part of the theory where we discussed what shortening is and everything else, it's in our last video. This is the second part, which is the practical version where we complete the buttercream using the shortening as a base. So over here, I have 250 grams of shortening, pure vegetable shortening, and we have 500 grams of sifted icing sugar. As always, the additional ingredients are salt and any form of flavoring. The optional ingredients will be your either water, milk, or cream. Those are completely optional depending on need and whether the consistency has to be adjusted. I haven't made any decisions about that at this moment in time. So the ingredients that are needed for the buttercream is just what I have listed here. We know that as an advantage, shortening is able to absorb flavor very well because of its bland and plain tasting nature. It can also be greasy. So we are testing it against consistency, mouthfeel, and stability. Okay, these are the 3 markers we are looking for. We are not trying to do anything outside of consistency, mouthfeel, and stability, right? Just by itself. In later videos, if we adapt it, which is if I come back and I have 50-50 for butter and shortening, we'll get to see the result. By so doing, this becomes like a learning resource for you to come to, so you can say, oh, actually, I saw this as a matter of fact, and for that reason, I can actually choose shortening as a choice or not. In the UK, our branded shortening is Trex. The equivalent will be Crisco in the US. So let's get to it. I'm going to be doing this using the stand mixer behind me, which is for convenience. But for the quantity and yield of this, you can equally use a hand mixer. If I feel like I am not in the chat, forgive me, okay? It's because I'm just trying to get through this as quickly as I can, and then we can come back and make time for catching up. There's Tapeta and the rest of you in the chat. Hello there, and great to have you all. Lollipop, okay. So Lollipop, Tapeta, Steph, thank you all for being here. Fall season is up. We'll be undertaking some fall bakes. I am missing much of the chat. But whilst we are in there having the chat, if you've forgotten, please do like the video just so that it can inform YouTube that you've been here. It will also help YouTube put the video in front of other people who can rely on your viewing experience here. And perhaps consider subscribing. That is if you want to learn all things baking. If you want to understand the baking processes, look, I do it for you, but I also do it for myself. So let's learn together, let's stick together, and let's grow a wholesome, knowledgeable community that supports baking. That's all. So we have icing sugar, we have shortening, there is salt, there is flavoring. I'm going to just employ my mixer here. And the shortening is at room temperature. So there's J Will. J Will, welcome to the chat. How are you? Right. And then I'm going to get myself a bowl. One of these days, I think. Bear with me. Okay, there you go. There you go. Just making sure we don't have any liquid residue in here. So I don't know, but the shortening is at room temperature. We will, you know, shortening is still like solid at room temperature. So what I'm going to do is, we are following the same instructions for buttercream as well, and we're going to beat this up for a few minutes, after which we can add our icing sugar. So what am I looking for? I need my paddle attachment. We're going to start medium high for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we will see how that goes. All right, so there you go. Okay, right, the time is 2:20 exactly. Nicola is back. Nicola, darling, how are you? So 2:20. So let's give it 2 minutes and see. And then I'll be talking you through what I am observing in the bowl. I mean, shortening is white. I kind of feel like leaving it at room temperature. Look, I don't know why I'm trying to overkill the thing. Nicola, good to have you back. Essentially, we're making American buttercream using shortening. That's exactly what's happening here. Look, we are barely 2 minutes in and the shortening is looking like this. Like, seriously. So I think it might, 2 minutes in, and this is at room temperature. Plus, it's a cold day in England. Lollipop, can you tell us what the weather is like where you are? Like, what's the weather temperature? Because normally it's this similar. Location is similar. Okay, so I'm just going to add the icing sugar in there, right? Because hear me when I say, if we had used butter, would have to, especially for this weather and everything, would have to wait this for about 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes, but barely 2 minutes in. It's looking okay. Let's get to it. Sometimes it's interesting when you do the thing, you know, so that you can see for yourself. And I guess you were seeing in real time what this looks like. Like, barely if I'd come to tell you, don't use shortening, the consistency is not great, or it doesn't look great, you may not understand. I mean, you're seeing the thing, aren't you? That said, the part that is normally missing is that this result here may not be the standard threshold for all, because ingredients composition, like the other aspects of the ingredient, will vary from location to location. So for instance, I like to talk to my American audience. I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, but you guys get to have a lot of things, products or ingredients added to products that will stabilize things, that will set things differently. So who knows, if I was using American Crisco, I might have to wait a little longer. The UK bit is a bit like, it's a bit like cream cheese. I mean, you people have your cream cheese, the block one. Over here, we don't have block cream cheese. I mean, somebody determined that it might not be good for our health to have that. So essentially, if you are UK based and you were considering shortening only buttercream, here's what we have. That's all. So let's mix this together slowly. We don't want a cloud. We don't want a cloud of sugar going everywhere. So there you go. I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt in. Should I not? I'll leave the salt out. Okay, first thing to observe, because it's thinned out so easily, right? Even after whipping it just a short amount of time, it's been able to absorb the sugar very well without much tension. Obviously, you could hear the mixer kind of grinding a little bit, but that's very subtle. For this quantity, if it was butter, would have to whip the butter a little longer, about twice the amount of time, especially in this weather. Plus, adding the sugar in, it would take a bit of time for the sugar to be absorbed into the fat. So, I mean, on observation, you can see where this is headed, at least for now. The most important thing in buttercream is obviously how it affects your overall result in terms of taste, mouthfeel, and quality of presentation. So let's see how we go with that. I mean, it's, if you look at the time, it's 2:26 exactly, and I barely added everything in. And first of all, on observation, if you're looking for white buttercream and you don't want to buy the color, please don't listen to me, okay? Because did we say that because shortening is very plain, it also yields a more plain white buttercream frosting compared to butter? Look, I literally have white looking buttercream without color added. Now I'm dreading what it will taste like. That's the part I am dreading. Okay, first of all, one second, Nicola, I will answer that question in a moment. But first of all, let me just go and taste this. I am dreading this. Because the margarine, it was not good. I can't do it. I can't do it. You know what? I'm an African woman. My face is expressive. And so my face tells a lot over here. When I love a cake, you see it on my face. And so if I don't love something, you will see it on my face. It's a thing of our people. You know, let me try and describe it for you. You know, when you fried, for those of you who know your way around the kitchen and cook for yourselves, right? Sometimes you can fry something, and I'm not talking frying onion or a donut. I'm talking about something like, say, if you fried a fritter. And I say a fritter specifically because a fritter is like a wet batter that you create and then you fry. By the time you finish frying everything, depending on what you're frying, what fritter, the oil starts to follow me on this one. I'm just trying to describe the sensation for you, and I want to nail it. So you start with your vegetable oil, fresh, steaming hot, and then you start frying your fritters. And the more rounds you fry things in the same oil, the oil begins to feel darker, not burnt or anything, but it gets darker. And then at some point you realize that the fritter soaks up the oil. Now, have you ever tried tasting the residue of the oil after you finish frying the fritters? It's like oil that you should throw out, but if you're like me, you want to save it for something else. And then you save it and then try to taste it a day or two after. That's the kind of taste I get with this. That's all. You can, the moment it lands on your tongue, you can tell that there's something off about this fat. I do not know how anyone would justify having this on a cake. But you know I'm precious over here, so maybe don't take my taste buds for it. That's all. For what it is worth, the margarine stood a chance. This, I couldn't do it. I mean, I did. Anyway, let's cream it more and let's see. I'll let it cream for about 5 minutes. We'll do the tasting again. I'll let it cream and then we'll do the tasting again, and then I can describe for you what it tastes like after the fat has thinned out a bit. But I don't have any hopes. There is Cherie Hogan. Cherie, thanks for being here. Thanks for stopping by. We are making American buttercream, and shortening is our base fat, and we found out it's not good. But let's not go to sleep on it yet. Let's not. Thank you, Nicola. Nicola, I just want to be done with this right here, and then we can catch up properly. Okay, let's get the job done. I know there's a lot of catching up to do, but shortening has had me all like feeling all kinds of ways already. I'm like, but you know what? I am happy we did this, because you can tell someone something, but knowing it for sure. I mean, these are the days that I wish I was a scientist and I'll explain to you what's going on here and everything else, but I don't pretend I'm no scientist, okay? I am just doing the thing so that we have the information we need, and then we can understand it in very simplistic terms and then go away. So at the end of this tutorial, all you will get to understand is why shortening may just not be the best option all the time. But if you want to find out more about the subject of shortening, what it is, what it does, why it may be considered or why it may not, there's a theory aspect of this discussion where we covered all of that, and our class objectives were covered on the subject too. So please do go check that out. But right now, oh, do I have to do this again? I wouldn't appreciate this on my cake if I was eating a cake. No. Nicola is looking for reason to poke us because she's going to go eat a banana and walnut. Nicola, save some for a sister out here, okay? Because this has me feeling all kinds of ways. By the way, on the second, I think I'm distracted by the fact that it's an awful feeling to just be tasting this thing that I don't like, okay? I'm just telling you. But I'm going to be good sport and give you the facts of it. The second time I tasted it, the mouthfeel was slightly better than the first time, which means the shortening in its raw form is just not great for taste. But after whipping in more air, it kind of tastes and feels a little better. Nothing like butter though, nothing like butter, but it's a little more like tolerable. I can tolerate it on my mouth. I mean, the consistency of it at this point, it feels like if you've made meringue before and the meringue starts getting tacky, that is what this feels like. And this is also because understand that the composition of shortening doesn't have any residual water in it, whereas butter has up to about 20% water with at least 80% fat, if you like, the minimum. At least European standard, you're looking at 80 to 82% fat, and the rest is residual water and additives added, if you like, you know. So the water, in terms of how butter breaks down, is absorbed into the sugar and helps the consistency when you're creaming it, right? Shortening doesn't have that, so it's like a very tacky consistency. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a bit like if you just had vegetable oil and you had salt in it. That's what it feels like as in the texture. But the consistency of it is very tacky, if you like. So if you want the sugar to melt properly, you want to add water, which also tells me this will make a very firm, steady buttercream. That is if you want buttercream for solid piping or flowers or other decorative elements. I am still like, it feels like I've given up on the project even before, but I am going to kind of stick with it. So let's keep creaming. in all fairness, at this point, that what I can give to the shortening is its whitening of quality. Look, the buttercream looks white, right? So if I wanted to make a batch of, why am I using this? Why am I scraping this? If I wanted to make very pale looking buttercream for demonstration purposes and I didn't want to color it, shortening is the way to go, right? It's the aftertaste that I can't bear. The aftertaste of the shortening, it's also like, in the theory, based on research, it was a stone shortening because it's light. It will yield a very light textured buttercream. And yes, that is true. But you know what is also true? It is very waxy. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's still firm though. Remember when we just beat the shortening at the first stage, barely 2 minutes, it's kind of pale and it's broken and it's looking like, but with the buttercream, with the sugar added, look at what we've got. It is firm. Remember, it's 100% fat. So there is no melting down of anything. So if you want to kind of get the sugar to dissolve slightly in here, you might want to add some form of liquid. At this point, I don't even care to add the flavor in here unless I have a plain flavor, just so that I can see how the flavor sits. But if you have questions in the chat, I will answer it. I just want to be done with this part so that we know we are certainly done with this, because the question I wanted to answer simply is it worth using 100% shortening for your buttercream? Is it worth it? And that is the question I wanted to answer. And I think we found that answer out barely a few minutes into it. And we know that. But like I said, understand that the shortening we may have in the UK may just have limitations that are giving us the results we have. I don't know where you are. I don't know what composition of ingredients make up your shortening. Sometimes the process used to make the shortening itself varies from location to location. For instance, in the UK, we know bleached cake flour is banned because of the process of how it is made. It's deemed unhealthy for us over here. But in America, you have bleached cake flour. So my thing is, this may not be the standard for all shortening recipes, but at least the Trex brand of shortening, 100% of it for a ratio of 2:1 in buttercream, American buttercream, is just not the way to go. In the words of some wise person, this ain't it. Okay? This ain't it. That's all. You know what? Lollipop is asking, is it coating your mouth? You know what? I can't even bear the taste of it to let it coat, if you like. You know, it is. I just have such a small quantity here, but I'm gonna just try it. I'm just gonna try. Yeah, it does feel like wax. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I mean, I can tolerate a little bit. Lollipop says, don't let yourself suffer, my dear. Haven't I suffered? Okay. Right, people. I really wanted to get through with this. And for what it is worth, I would love to. But for what we are testing against, because we are testing against stability, and I can tell you for nothing right now, it is very firm. Look, it is very firm. firmer than look, right? So it is very firm. So stability, check. Consistency, it's open to adjustment. I mean, if you add water, flavoring, great. Okay. Mouthfeel, I will score it a 0.0. Okay, so there you go. Right, so just there you go. Right, now what I am, let me wash my hands. So much so that, look, even when I'm washing my hands, right, it's lukewarm water and it's still like, it's not leaving my palm. Look, I probably have to run the water a bit warmer. Why would you want this on your cake, people? Please be kind to your customers, okay? Be kind to your customers. I know people have good reasons to, a business is not sustainable if you cut corners like this, because some people's reason might be, oh, we want to save for the customer and give them value. Not worth it. I am glad to say in the 10 years I have made cakes, I have never ever thought that I needed Trex. If you see me using Trex, I use it for fondant work because it allows for you to be able to apply and mix the fondant. And I've also used it as a glue on the covering of cakes. So you kind of rub it on cakes, you know, just to cover it. That's such a small amount. But for buttercream and decoration, as a base fat for buttercream, I have never like found a reason to. And I could never be more certain than now that it's just not worth the hassle. It's not worth it, right? Lollipop was asking a question about macerating banana in sugar, right? Were you asking what would happen if we did that? Well, we would only get good results for that because the sugar would draw out the flavors in the banana, tenderize the banana whilst enhancing flavor also in the cake. That is if we're using it for cake. So at least that is some of the reasons. But before we get on, let's just get to the part where we pipe. I'm not even going to try and use this to cover cakes. I might use it in demonstrations for later because I'm not going to let it like demonstrations as in teaching and practice work. But certainly not for any cake that anybody would eat. So we have some buttercream here. So I mean, in terms of the color, it looks great. Look, it's still white, right? So let's see how it holds. Look, it pipes firmly. Look at those fine details. Look at those fine details. It is white, and I mean white, 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 right? I mean, for the consistency, I have nothing against this thing. Look. The consistency is firm enough. It is giving you firm hold. It is giving you detail. But what's a good looking cake if it doesn't taste great? It's almost like, can you see the detail I can see even on a camera screen here is amazing, right? Which means the consistency is off the charts in terms of its firmness and hold. Look at that. If we wanted to make, what do you call it? Flowers. Let me just... One second. Oh, glad. Don't go and break. Don't Don't break anything, Gladys, will you? Okay, so I have another one here. Okay, I have some cones here. Let's see. I'm not great at piping flower work, but let's see. I'm just doing this so that we can see the stability. Can you see the floral detail? And this is my very first time of piping flower details. Look. Look at that. So imagine this as a faux rose or some form of flower. Look at how steady it looks on here. Like, this is unreal. Can you see the petal? Like, look. That is some detail here. Shortening is very stable, okay? No doubt, but in the end, it's not just because it's good to look at. It's because you have to eat the thing. And if it doesn't taste it, I mean, I'm just getting rid of the detail on here, right? So let's I am just astounded at, because I have tried working with flowers, right? And boy, I have seen a suffering because the buttercream wasn't very stable. And the fact that shortening has just walked in here and made me look like a pro with these petals is like, wow. But shortening ain't it, okay? I've told you already. Tabitha is asking, where is Strudel? Strudel is over here. Strudel is happy. Strudel is grumpy. It's Halloween. We're gonna hog roast Strudel. Okay? Don't tell anybody. Just come on Halloween night. And let's have fun with our strudel. Okay, that's all. I mean, Tabitha, please don't turn into an animal rights activist right now. We need strudel for Halloween. All I'm saying is, let's have a look at the stability of shortening And I have nothing on the stuff. It's good. Okay. Somebody's calling me. I need to pick this call. It's important. Sir? Yep, I'm outside number 6. Okay. No one answering the door. Okay. Let me just find out for you. Yeah? Yeah. Whew. People, sorry, you're in my home and I have stuff happening. So, yeah. In the end, shortening. We use shortening. I don't know how this class disintegrated into this chaos that is. I had plans to keep it organized, but anyway, one thing you and I cannot say about shortening is the thing when it comes to stability. The color is given, okay? I have nothing against this color. I have nothing against the amount of detail here, but ultimately you're gonna have to eat the cake. And if you're going to eat the cake and it looks like this, and it can stabilize in the sunshine, but you put it in your mouth and you want to spit it out in it. Okay? So no, not shortening. Not shortening, okay? Shortening, not for everyone. So that's it for shortening. I think our next challenge will be to do the 50-50, just to see whether the shortening with the batter, the outcome. Now, if you are up for that challenge, put your hand in the chat. And if you're new here, consider subscribing, because why am I doing this? I'm doing this to answer some of your buttercream questions so that we can put this to rest with a practical demonstration, just so that you know for sure. Okay, so continue to show your love and interest over here, because I don't know what's happened to the YouTube algorithm. It's gone a little bit. You've heard me speak about it. Let me take a call. Yeah, I've just okay, 1 second. She's reading. No one is here currently. She's leaving for school run in 2 minutes, she says. Are you sure you are at the right place? Number 6 shots. Yeah? Yeah, I'm outside. There's a caravan in front of the... 1 second. Oh, number 1. Number 1. Sorry. Number 1. People, you're in my house. You're welcome. Okay? It's a mess out here. Buttercream has me feeling all kind of funny. And then I've got stuff happening on the side that is kind of shooting in the live. But anyway, thank you for your patience. Nicola, well, let me just finish this and let's catch up on this. I think the sideshow of the family commitment has got me slightly distracted. Let me just get this. Okay. Right. There you go. So class objectives. Were we able to establish the stability of shortening as a fat option that will stand better against butter? Yes. Because we can tell that in terms of firmness, detail, and presentation, right? So there you are. It's great. Mouthfeel, not so much, okay? Consistency, amazing. At least at the base, as a base consistency, but you can adapt it by adding stuff to it. So it's neither here nor there, but we've answered the core question. Would you go for shortening against butter? Not 100%, but like I said, the next challenge will be, there is a delay. There is a delay on the stream, but anyway, that's beside the point. First, it's still tacky, it's sandy, it's awful. Let me just wipe up. Right, there you go. Oh, kiddo. Oh, Tapeta seeing the baby off to school. Anyway, say a prayer for her, and we love her so much. Have a good one, kid, and be good. Make your mama proud. That's beside it. Okay, there you go. Shortening. Please leave shortening alone. Don't use it for your buttercream, okay? But our next challenge will be to be doing the 50-50 50-50. Mix parts of shortening with parts of butter and see what result we get out of that. That is just so you know. Right? Okay. For your other questions, Nicola was asking, 1 second, let me just... Yeah. Nicola was asking what the YouTube algorithm. I think they've just introduced a few things. I don't know if you've noticed, Nicola. If you haven't noticed, they've introduced a hype button where subscribers have to hype the video just to kind of give it a boost or something. And they've introduced a few different new features. I haven't used it much. And personally, I don't even get like notifications from the channels I'm subscribed to, right? But if something random that I haven't watched before pops up and I look at it, even without subscribing and without engaging much with it, just for the fact that I've looked at it, that's all the notification I get about this thing that I don't even care about, but probably just chanced onto one random thing. So it kind of lets me know that perhaps you are getting the same experience on the other side from our content, in that if you are not notified, if you are not getting the calls to action and the prompts on your feed, what does that look like for you? Do you even know I'm here? Do you engage with the content? So sometimes we go through peaks and troughs on YouTube, and at the moment it just seems to be a little bit all over the place. So just a polite reminder that your presence, attention, and engagement is really, really, really something to appreciate. That said, right, there's a chat happening that I have missed out on. That said, Lollipop, you were asking about the banana. Macerating banana in sugar before using it to bake is an amazing thing. I don't know why one would, because banana, when it actually breaks down by itself, it has like an intense moisture and flavor to it. But creating, first of all, if you macerate it, it's going to draw some syrup. It will intensify the flavors. There's nothing really wrong about this, but the point is, why would anyone want to do that? Perhaps that is something we should come and do. But right now I have the buttercream to kind of think about, which we are developing. So yeah, right now as I speak to you, I am already editing a video that I'm hoping should be out tomorrow, which is Sunday's video is out tomorrow, so that you can have a bit more interaction, and there is a few more uploads. I'm just trying to work on the back end, so there's a few more content for you instead, because once we've come back to regular schedule, I have to adapt, right? And I don't know whether I want to keep the shorts going as I should. It's a lot, like having daily shorts, almost daily lives, and then a full-time stream, as in long-form content once a week. I don't know if I am setting myself up for the best outcome or not. I don't know. But sometimes it's a case of how much I can take and how much I can bear. And at the moment, there's just quite a lot happening. On top of the fact that the house move is still like somewhere here, right? So that's happening on the back end. There's quite a lot. So I'm kind of pacing myself. So there seems to be like a little bit of, I am not sure what is happening until I find my feet. But you are always going to see me here as much as possible. And if I'm not here, know that something really, really important is taking me away. And it's not that I don't care about being here, because what I actually do care about is being able to answer some of these questions, engage with some of these things that otherwise you would have had to undertake it in your own home, and whether you even have the space or time to do that. So these sort of videos become what learning resources for you to take with you and to kind of know the answer for sure, just so that we can all walk out of the baking experience or approach it from the point of view of some knowledge, if you like. So that is it. Tatiana is saying, can you tell us what the schedule is? I feel like I keep missing it. I know, Tatiana. I know it feels like that. And it feels like that for me, that I feel like I am not here as much as I want to. Okay. So I don't know, because remember, okay, we've established this already. So let's catch up a little bit. When school broke, as in the 6 weeks of summer holidays, it presented us with a challenge where we couldn't, I couldn't show up for 1 p.m. because prior to that, I was working on UK time. And there was an intention behind the 1 p.m. time. It was my only sort of available time in the afternoon to be able to show up for class. And I think I didn't realize, but because I'm UK based, I was almost like on the time frame of Europe and the UK, if you like. Except by the end of reviewing the analytics, more than a quarter of the viewership per month is American. So and we spoke about it when you guys told me, some of you who really enjoy to be part of the class, it's almost like it comes as a sacrifice to you that you have to get up, way before time just to be part of the live. And that was really lovely and so nice to hear. But to kind of think that you would otherwise miss it kind of presented the challenge of trying to meet you halfway. So I think the 1 p.m. UK time almost left you guys, some of my American audience, having to wake up at 4 to 5 a.m. in the morning. So, and that was information that was landed to me, that was handed to me during discussion. It's not like anybody was actually thinking about it, but I've always known that a bigger portion of the viewership is American, followed by the UK, and then there are like, the geography is kind of fascinating to me, but the UK and the US are like the largest viewership, if you like. So I kind of thought when school summer break happened, and I had other commitments. And that's because largely when I'm here, it's because the boy is in school, dad is at work, the house is quieter, because this is my home, you know. So I'm like, okay, it's summer break. Let's try and make the adjustment. And whilst the adjustment appeared inconveniencing, it was a blessing. Because then at 3 o'clock, I felt like I was meeting my American audience right in the morning. Like it's still 5, 6, 7 o'clock, depending on your location and time, because all of you don't have the same time. It's wild to me how your time is, but I just felt like I met you right on your early start, and it's kind of the hour before you wake up, and missing me was kind of like a thing. Except school has gone back. And the 3 o'clock, the 3 to 4 is very important because that's when we do school pickups and stuff. And I've got to leave that window open just in case. I mean, if you've been here, you know, the big producer does the school run, but that's a blessing and a given. But I can't occupy that time just in case there's a developing emergency, if you like. So I then have just between 1 to 3 to decide when to do the live. We can take it back to 1 o'clock for consistency. But if we did that, it means that a chunk of you who are still in bed, my American audience for that matter, will miss it and will have to catch it on a replay. But if we come at 2 o'clock, it means we have just a limited time. We can only do an hour and 15, right? And then by 3:15 to 4 o'clock, my time is occupied, because anytime after 4 o'clock is family time and personal commitments. And then I have 8 o'clock. So here's the thing. I'm still trying to work out whether we can do the multiple lives a day, one in the evening UK time, which will catch you sometime mid-afternoon US time, or we can keep it as is. And right now, it's still like something I'm kind of working out. So Tatiana, that's a long-winded way to say, at the moment, we are around 2 p.m. UK time, but it also depends on my schedule. The lives are not pre-scheduled, they are not pre-recorded. So say if I woke up tomorrow morning and I had a commitment that had been sprung on me and I can't be here at 1 o'clock, then it means we're not having a live. And sometimes I don't know until my day starts. And I'm like, shoot. And I have to go. So I am also considering whether it will make sense to increase the upload for long form. I don't know. Because the upload for long form, whilst it's a good thing, it's the editing, you know. Editing takes a lot of time for me because I'm not innately an editor. And that's, editing alone takes me about 25 hours of work. If I split 25, and I can't sit through 25 hours, I mean, it's 24 hours in a day. And 25 hours, and that's beside the recording aspect. So, for instance, if I broke down my editing time through the week, I can only sit through maximum 3 hours per session. And that's a lot, you know. So, in a week, I can just about produce one video. So, people, look. Oh, it's 9 a.m. now. Okay, right. See, I knew. You know what? We are still trying to figure this out. We are still trying. So, you know what, people? Just bear with us. Stick with me. Bear with me. Ultimately, I think I do have the understanding that if you're not here, I'm not here. Okay? So, it has to be a relationship where I understand your needs and you understand the struggle, which is why we are having this open dialogue. So at the moment, it's still like I am still trying to figure out because at the moment, Thursdays I'm not available, at least for the short term. So we've gone from Tuesday through to Fridays, or through to Thursdays, to now skipping Thursday, and then we're doing Friday. So I did Tuesday, Wednesday, we didn't do Thursday, and then we're back on Friday. In the past, I was also able to create daily shorts. So even if I'm not here, you're still having shorts. But, you know, the output of that alone is exhausting. And I've had to kind of go, okay, this is just me. Let me pace myself whilst I make certain decisions on the back end. The goal, though, is to establish a consistent frequency. Will that remain permanent? No, because life is never perfect and things are never linear, okay? It's still me. I'll have to find a way. So ultimately, one of the considerations, just being open and honest, one of the considerations I was thinking, because as long as possible, as best as I can, I've told you, I want these sessions, whatever they look like, to be accessible to you. I do this because I love what I do and I am passionate about sharing the information to you. It's just that okay, let me put it this way. I just feel blessed that my skill is not limited to one thing. Because having to stand and teach is a skill that one develops over time. Was I better at it when I started? No. Okay. Being able to stand here and deliver the information and to kind of break it down to engage with you, I have grown throughout the process, and I keep growing through my research, through my teaching ability, and through delivering the information for you. Okay. But that was not by accident. In fact, the reason why I undertook the live was that I realized I was never going to be able to compete if I stayed long form, because the amount of time and output, I was never going to be able to do that. And because I do not enjoy editing, if I could afford, we'll just outsource the editing, pay somebody, and I'll do what I do. Because essentially the big platforms have teams who do everything. I am just me because you've got to start from somewhere. So I'm not complaining. But I have also considered, if I keep the pace I'm keeping, we will be a long way from achieving the goals. So there's also consideration. I've spoken to you about the possibility of a membership. I created it, but I'm also like, in my heart, I don't want to just create a membership because it's an easy, accessible place for you to kind of support the channel. I still want it to deliver value. So I'm also thinking, could I then find a way to create like the specific master classes, for instance, from how I make my ganache from start to finish? If the investment of time it takes for me to create that, outside of the amount of value I already deliver, is just out of this world. And if I was forcing myself to create those videos just to put up here for your entertainment, that would be at my own disservice, because it would just lead to burnout. So if I have to undertake that just to serve you, because there are different parts of value we have here. We have the value of fun and engagement and entertainment. There's the value of skill and ability and teaching you information. And then there's just the general value of the relationship we have. And it's not like in one pot. They're all different ways. So for instance, for long form content, to be able to cope with the editing, I'd love to make fun videos for you. But the fun videos are targeted at a larger audience. I realize that I have a very core audience that interacts with me. So these lives are not for everybody. They are for you and I, right? And then you enjoy it, and then we catch up and we say bye-bye to each other. But if I shifted to creating long-form content as just the fun set videos, right, I will be leaving you guys behind. So where will the educational aspect go? So you see, I think about all of these things. So a little part of me is like, okay, maybe the best way I can give you value is to kind of consider creating the detailed masterclasses for the membership, so that people make a choice to decide if they want to engage with that because they specifically want to learn something. Because part of learning things from people these days, it's either it's free or you are paying for it. So where do we put that? And sometimes I kind of think I live in my head a lot, because I just mean well. And sometimes business is not about meaning well. Business is just business. and I just mean well, and I want to be led by real and true intention. And that has created this conflict where at the moment I'm like, it's all over the place, okay? But I still enjoy seeing you guys here. I still enjoy coming to create the videos that are of true value to you. I mean, we literally went and made frosting out of Trex. I will never use Trex in my baking as a business owner for anything other than the fact that I want you to get the information real and true and raw. So understand that whether you're paying for a membership, whether you're supporting the channel, either way, you are still as valuable to me. And I hope you understand that. That's all, okay? That said, people, it's nearly past, okay? We've established that shortening is just not great. Our next challenge will be I can't talk. Our next challenge will be to do the 50-50, half shortening, half butter. If we do that and this is still raw, I will scream, okay? So come back on Tuesday, and then we'll do that. I will compile some notes based on our experiment. Go catch up on the other videos. Tatiana, Nicola, Lollipop, Tapita, all you new people in the chat, sticking with me from day one, new ones, old ones. I love you. Thank you. Happy baking. I'll see you on the next one.